I'm Tracy Robertson. I'm the chair of the PD Counselor Program for APRA. I'm really honored that they asked me to participate and to help on the conference planning committee this time. It's been a wonderful opportunity to learn more about APRA National and APRA, what goes into planning a conference of this size. I am the associate director of prospect research at Emory University, and I've been in the field for about 20 years. And my first APRA conference, I was lucky that I actually attended with someone who was on my team, but not everyone has that opportunity. Some people attend all by themselves, and our goal is to make it so that when you get to APRA, you experience what I did at my first conference, which was the collegialness of our profession and how everyone is willing to help. Everyone is willing to answer questions. And that is what we hope we can do for all of you, to tell you about what's going to happen. It's really a wonderful organization, a great group of people. And so I love APRA, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm going to ask you now to introduce, I'm going to introduce you or turn it over to Ryan Gallagher, who is going to be one of our panel today. And Ryan, take it away.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Gallagher. My pronouns are he, him. I am an associate director of prospect development at City of Hope, which is a comprehensive cancer hospital and cancer system with locations in 4 different states now. So I have been working in philanthropy for over a decade now, which is kind of crazy. And I have been doing prospect development work full-time for about 6 years. My first APRA was in Phoenix in 2019. It was my second day of work at City of Hope, so it was a little overwhelming. But it was a really great experience. It was, my first APRA, my first conference, other than going to BBCon, because I used to be in operations at my previous role. And I really love APRA. I love hearing from all of the folks who do our work and getting some of their expertise and making those connections. So I'm really excited to be serving as a counselor, and I'm excited to be here with you all today. So I'm going to hand it off now to Pamela.
Hi, everybody. I'm Pam Lewis. I'm the Associate Vice President for Strategic Advancement Systems at George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia. That's a really long title. But I started in this profession as a prospect researcher in 2007. I've been an assistant director, associate director, director, assistant VP, and now associate VP. So I'm a testament that this field is really can form a foundation for a real career, if that's what you're looking for. When I started out, I had never heard of prospect research. I was working as a technology manager in one of the units at the university. And I really wanted to get out of that field. I did not want to work in technology anymore. And I was thinking about what are my talents? And I started thinking about, well, I know some technology. I can find anything on the internet. What can I do with those skills? And then I see a job description for a research analyst, and here I am today, 17 years later. So it's really been a fantastic journey. APRA has been there all along the way. I'm lucky that I'm in an area where I have access to 3 APRA chapters. I'm in the DC metro area, so we have APRA Virginia, APRA Maryland, and APRA DC. I've been involved in all of those and attended conferences, and I served on the board of APRA Virginia for a time as well. So I can't say enough about APRA and going to APRA conferences. My first conference was in 2008 and in Denver, and I went alone. I was the only one from my university to go. And I can tell you it was overwhelming. So this is a really great program to kind of get you all acclimated to what you're going to experience. And But again, really, APRA, if this is your field of choice, really, you can't ask for a better organization, a better group of people to really help you to get started in this field. And I will say, when I first came into the field, we were only doing research. And when I became director, I was tasked with adding prospect management. And I remember going to, I think it was an APRA Maryland conference. It was a regional conference, and met someone who was like an expert in prospect management. And I reached out to her after the conference, and she invited me and my team to come to Johns Hopkins, and they gave us so much information about how to get started in prospect management. So this is really a great opportunity for all of you that you get to attend this APRA conference. And I am going to kick it off to Amy.
Thanks, Pamela. Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Powen. It's exciting to see you all here, and I hope I get to meet you all in person at the conference. I use she, her pronouns. I'm based in LA, and I work on the relationship management team at UNICEF USA. We're a cause-based nonprofit, and we support the fundraising efforts for UNICEF, which is the UN entity that helps children around the world. I have over 10 years of experience in nonprofits, but I'm fairly new in the prospect development field. I've been in my relationship management role for about 2.5 years now. My first APRA conference was in 2022 in Atlanta, and I had just started in this relationship management role. I also was a first-time presenter at the conference, and frankly, I was terrified. One, I'd never been at a professional conference before. I think the longest speech I've ever given was probably 15 minutes, and it was like an hour-long session. But I really trusted my supervisor and also other members on my team who are longtime APRA members, and they just couldn't talk enough about APRA. And I got it after attending the conference. People were so friendly, and I learned so much in that first experience, and I'm happy to share more once we get into our discussion. But yeah, it's a great organization, like everyone says, and I hope you all have a great conference experience as well. And I will pass it over to Liz to introduce herself.
Thanks, Amy. Hi, everyone. My name is Liz Mills. I use she, her pronouns. I'm Associate Director of Prospect Management and Prospect Research at Oglethorpe University, which is a small private university in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been in the nonprofit sphere, in particular higher ed, for about 12 years now, but like Amy, I'm pretty new to prospect development. I've been in my role, well, I started as an assistant director in 2022, so it's been about 2 years now for me as well. My first APRA conference was in Atlanta, Georgia. It was my third day on the job. I was very fortunate to go with a group of people, so I felt like I was part of a herd, which was a wonderful opportunity so that we could all break out and go to individual sessions and then meet in the middle for lunch and kind of knowledge share, you know, who we met, what we talked about, what were our key takeaways, which I found incredibly informative. But I must say, I took all of the information from my first APRA conference and I really plugged into APRA because this is such an incredible organization. I've been a part of a fair few professional development organizations over my career, and I have never been in an organization or been a member of an organization that has been so welcoming, so collaborative, so pivotal to my work. It has empowered me. It has informed me. You are in good hands with APRA. I encourage you to plug in wherever you can. I think if you are a first-time attendee, a young attendee, or someone attending by yourself, reach out to your local APRA chapter. See who's going in your area. If you're part of a small higher ed institution or health and human services or a hospital, reach out to people who are similar to you. We've got the community tab, and we can go over that later in the session. But you can find people who are part of similar organizations to you and reach out to them. Also, if you see any one of our faces running around the conference, please stop and say hi. We're excited to meet you. We're excited to guide you through on your first APRA experience.
pardon me, excuse me. So I think our next bit is the schedule at a glance. And I think Jen is going to share that on the screen for us. It is this is very useful. This is also, I believe, going to be part of the app, which Jen knows a bit more about than I do. So I'm going to let Jen talk about the app now. Is that okay, Jen?
Oh, sure. Are we giving an overview of the schedule just at a glance, Tracy, or were we going to jump right into the online community and conference app?
You know, we can give a brief overview of it. It's you know, it starts on Monday with the chapter summit. If you're lucky enough and you were able to get into town for the chapter summit, I've never been able to attend it, but it is very good if you to help. It's usually the vice president, the president, and officers of the local chapters. And as Liz said, really find out about your local chapter. It's a wonderful resource for you. Then on Tuesday, I don't know if any of you are going to be taking the APRA fundamentals class. Many first timers start out that way, but that starts on Tuesday. And usually in the afternoon, they offer some workshop classes, which in the past I have taken some workshop classes, and I have never been disappointed with what I've learned. They're usually a little bit more intensive than sessions. I took one on how to read stock forms. I took one on how different universities do due diligence, which is a big issue right now, and I've never been disappointed. So that usually occurs like on the first full day of the conference, so to speak. But APRA fundamentals will start. Data science now, for those who are in the data analytics, that's a separate little portion. And then the actual conference will start out on Wednesday, the 21st. And the PD Counselor event there, I'm going to try to be at that myself as from 7:30 to 8. I know it's early, but I think it's going to be, Jen, isn't it? I can't remember. I think it's going to be in the room where we have breakfast and where the vendors are. Am I correct in saying that?
Just next door.
Okay, just next door. So I'm going to be there. Come see me. I love APRA and I love people who are part of it. And I would love to see you, meet you in person, say hi virtually. So, you know, and give you some encouragement or some pointers. If any of the other counselors can be there, I'd love for you to be there. But if not, don't, you know, if you're running a little late or something, but I will be in that room and I'll be happy to say hi to you. And then I'm going to encourage you, when you see this APRA talks, APRA walks, and APRA breathes, these are little breaks built in. They're brought to you by the APRA Foundation, which is our charitable arm, which gives out scholarships to attend APRA, various things. They do many things. So these are always nice breaks and a good place for you to meet other attendees and get to know them. And part of the joy of this conference is just how welcoming everyone is. And these little, I especially love the guided meditation, because that's going to be at the end of the week. It's going to be close to time when everybody's going to be rushing away. And it's a nice way to start your day and to calm you down. So is there anything else y'all can think of that I need to hit on for this? There's lunch break, beverage break. It's a really, there's a lot of stuff to go to, but there is time built in for you to, so you don't feel like you're constantly running on the schedule. Is there anything anybody else wants to highlight on the schedule? If not, we can move on to using the online community and the conference app. And again, this schedule will be part, I'm assuming, of the conference app. Is that correct, Jen?
Correct. So I'll start with our online community and then I'll come back to our conference app. So I'm Jen Cooper. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the membership and operations manager for APRA. And you should have all been invited to our PD 2024 first time attendees online community. This is truly a space where you all can come and ask your questions live. You could use this now, you could use this on site anytime between now and the conference. This is available to you. This is being monitored by our counselors that we have on the call here today. And really, it's just your place where as you're getting ready to make your own schedule for when you're on site at conference, if you have any questions, if you need any information that you can't quite get your hands on, you can post it right here and somebody will get you an answer to point you in the right direction. So we've got obviously our information here about our counselor program kickoff event that we're hosting right now. We've also had a few of our counselors come in here and introduce themselves, but please feel free to come in here and post anything. It's also a great place for you all to be able to network with one another. You have an entire peer community of first-time attendees here that you can take advantage of. You're all in the same boat, so please feel free to use each other as resources as well when you're traveling on site. There's so many folks that are new to the industry, and that's a great group of individuals that you have right at your fingertips to be really a part of. So that's our online community there. If you have any immediate questions about the online community, how to access it, where to go, you can access all of our online communities by going to our website. I believe it's under our resources tab. I'll go ahead and I'll drop that link in the chat once I'm done here. But if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And also please feel free, you can always email us directly at info@aprahome.org. I'm going to stop my share for now. Similarly, another great tool for you all to be able to use is our conference app. So we're in the process of finalizing the conference app development right now. It's set to go live in, I believe, just a couple of weeks here. So you should see communication that's coming out about the conference app. Be on the lookout for that. As soon as you get that email communication that's sent, download the app right away. You could start using it even before conference. Some key things to look out for within the app: you'll have more access to more things that are happening on site. So you'll have the app for maps on site. You'll have the app to the question that's in the chat. You'll have access to session slides within the app. It's also, again, for both virtual and in person. It's a great place for networking. Tracy pointed out a story that she had where she was able to personally contact folks that she was meeting at conference through the app. There is that functionality where you can continue conversations. If you're on site, you can meet folks for both in person and virtual. Also, that's where all of our surveys are sent through. So the app has so much functionality. We really encourage you to use that as much as possible. So when you see that communication go out, make sure that you go ahead and download that. Any questions on the online community, the app? Again, I'm going to go ahead and download how you can access that online community again into the chat. Two places where you can access it. The direct link is where you can access our other online communities. Otherwise, again, as you continue to have, if you think of anything while we're on the call here, drop them in the chat. And always you can reach us, staff at info@aprahome.org.
The app is always very useful, and it has wonderful maps, and I am directionally challenged sometimes. So it's a very useful tool for me because I don't know about this conference center, but I'm assuming it's going to be like others in the past where different rooms on different levels, and it's very useful. I found it very helpful the times that I've used it.
Perfect. Since we have a little bit of a smaller group here today, and now that you've heard a little bit from our counselors sharing their personal stories, a little bit about the different resources that are available to you all. We wanted to just jump in here to an open conversation to ask if there's any pressing questions that anyone has, if there's anything more about being a first-time attendee, how best you could take advantage of conference, any immediate questions that anybody has off the top of their mind that they want to throw out here. And counselors, I encourage you all as well. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it Daria?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi. I was just wondering, for like my organization, we also purchased the recordings, because obviously I'm not going to be able to attend every session. For a short window of time to kind of watch them, like what's the I guess, yeah, that's my question.
So it's on the individual user, so whichever user purchased it, during like a month, 6 weeks after, they'll all be available to you, and they're always on Apra University since you paid for them. So you don't have to like binge everything you missed in a month.
Thank you so much.
And that'll be
Bring a
4 out of
jacket
5.
if you're cold. If you're cold-natured, bring a sweater or a light jacket, guys. I'm never like that, but I understand some people are.
On the recordings, we have most of our sessions recorded, so it'll be, I think, 40 some out of 52 sessions, so quite a lot.
And I will say, for a first-time user, and honestly for a veteran of APRA PD, it's overwhelming, and you are going to be flooded with information, and not all of it's going to be relevant to you tomorrow or the Monday when you show back up at work. And so having all of the slides, having access to the speakers, being able to reach out with them and connect with them post PD 6 months later, it's incredibly helpful because the information might not be useful for you now. Maybe you're not in a campaign, but in 6 months you are in a campaign, and this is relevant information. It's all available to you on Apra University.
And I'm still looking up things from Indianapolis that when I run across a project or something that are useful from the last conference, I can look at the slideshow. You know, I would download the one that I thought I needed, and I'm still looking at those and think, oh yeah, that's a great resource. And try to remember when you go that when you go back to your desk, whenever you go back to your desk, jot down 2 things that you've learned that you think you can act on immediately. And that'll help you feel like, oh yeah, I did get something out of this. And so I always try to do that little rule. 2 things that I can look at Monday when I go back to my desk. So that's something I highly encourage people to do also.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Tracy on that. And because when you go, and especially from small shops, and you might hear a presentation from a large school, and you're thinking, wow, that's way too much than what we can do. Always think about, well, what little piece of this that I could take back to my small shop and implement, instead of looking at the big old pie and thinking, well, we can't do that. So I had one of my staff members go to an APRA conference and saw a session on prospecting through email. And they came back and they were able to think about with the digital system that we have, how they could take that idea that they got at APRA and bring it back to help our gift officers to prospect with all of these potential prospects, suspects that they had never been able to reach out to before or didn't have time to reach out to before. And it's really been a successful project. So always be thinking, don't get overwhelmed thinking, well, that's a large school with a large staff. That there's always some little thing that you could, some idea that you could bring back and customize to your organization.
I just wanted to speak to Juliana's question in the chat about any advice on how to best choose which virtual sessions to attend. And notoriously for me, when I've attended virtually, there are two sessions at the same time that I really want to go to. And so what I do is I go in and I read the description that the speakers have written, but also the learning objectives, because I think that that is a really good way to kind of ascertain what the goal of the presentation is. So I don't know if everyone like notices the learning objectives, but as a presenter this year, I had to write them. And so I was like, oh, I didn't even look at these. I looked at them last year, but I didn't look at them before then. So I think that that's really useful, and really kind of, you can also look at the slides ahead of time. So using all of those resources, looking at the information on the website, on the schedule, on the app, and also you can chat with members of the community and see which ones they're going to. If you have friends or colleagues who are going to one session that you're interested in, you want to go to the other one, you can do data sharing. That's what we do at our organization. We have a spreadsheet that I put together, as Cal knows, and we all mark off the ones that we're interested in. So if I'm interested in two and Cal is going to one of them, I can go to a different one. And then Cal and I can debrief afterwards. So I highly recommend collaborating. You can use us, your counselors, as resources that way if you don't know anybody else who's going. So those are my recommendations in terms of how to make those decisions.
Ryan and Cal, that's funny. We have a spreadsheet too, because we have several colleagues going. So we're all like, don't go to the same session. We need to go to all the sessions together. But piggybacking on what you shared, I think for me, for the first conference I attended in 2022, I had a challenging project that was on my plate for the coming year, and I actually really wanted some advice from people that have been in the field for longer. So I was trying to find sessions that I thought I could, apply to my work. But while saying that, there were some sessions that I didn't apply to because I didn't see the direct alignment with my work that I heard from colleagues were fantastic, and was so much fun. So I definitely encourage you to sprinkle in some sessions that seem like fun and inspiring to you, even if it's not exactly work aligned. But just separate advice, because I had this challenging project that I wanted some advice on, I did try to actively think about who I wanted to reach out to that were attending the conference. So this is more applicable to people that will be attending in person. But that's why that app was so helpful, because I couldn't remember everyone's names. And maybe I knew that someone was giving that talk, and I can look them up in the app. And even though it was outside my comfort zone, I did try to make an effort to reach out, get people's contact information, and I followed up with them after, and they ended up being a really good resource for me in pushing this project forward. So if you have something like that you're, struggling with and you want some feedback on, this really is a great opportunity to find people that might be able to give you some guidance.
I was asked privately to talk about the difference between collaborative sharing sessions, what a collaborative sharing session is. And I'm going to ask Liz to talk about that, because she and I are doing a collaborative sharing session at APRA this year. And so I'm going to let her talk about it.
Sure. Shameless plug, come visit us. So there are a lot of different tracks. If you go onto the PD full schedule on the website, you can filter by session type and then collaborative sharing session. You can also you can filter by all the different. You can filter by skill level, by track, if it's live stream, if it's recorded. So it's a really nifty tool. As far as a collaborative sharing session, this is a really great opportunity to network. To my understanding, all of the collaborative sharing sessions are going to be roundtable based. And there's usually an element of a breakout session. And so whatever topic is involved in the session, you will have an opportunity to speak in a more intimate setting and collaborate with peers who are there for the exact same reasons. And so it's a really great way to take away. And so my advice to people at large shops and at small shops, but most especially small shops, this is a really great opportunity. So I would encourage you to go to as many of these collaborative sharing sessions as possible. I know it's hard. We can't go to every session all the time, all at once, everything everywhere all at once. But I do want to stress that these are really important topics. And as a session presenter myself, we put a lot of time into thinking what would be the most impactful for our APRA members, what would we want to see? And so we're really excited to bring these to you. Anyway, if anyone has any questions about collaborative sharing sessions, please let me know, or any other questions in the chat.
And there will be takeaways. You will go home with a list of resources that you might be able to use when you get home. And we'll take up another with other people who are collaboratively sharing are going to say, oh, do this or go here. We're going to take notes. We're going to put it down and we're going to share it with you after the conference so that you'll have that too.
And certainly I would say find as many new friends as possible and really expand your network. Especially for people in small shops, we really think that we have a certain loyalty to our organization, our nonprofit, our higher ed institution. We certainly do, but we also are a part of the APRA community. And we can make friends on the West Coast, we can make friends on the East Coast, we can make friends in Canada and internationally. And we're all doing the exact same work, and it's absolutely wonderful to widen our circle and our network and see, what was working great at Oregon Food Bank might be amazing for us to do down in Miami. And we can certainly bring all of this information back to organizations to help them, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure we're being the best professionals and being the best prospect development officers and professionals that are in our organization. And APRA helps you do it.
And I would want to stress also that even though we do this work for our organizations, we're also working for ourselves, our professional growth, developing leadership skills. So you don't want to lose sight of that as well. And so I'll plug that I'm doing a session in that professional development leadership area. And really, because I was really focused in my career on growth and making more money and having more of an impact. And so it's just not your organization. You can do that. That can also align with your own personal professional goals. So keep that in mind when you're looking at sessions. Like, what are my professional goals? What's going to work best? Because what works best for your organization is going to work best for you as well. So I want to just remind you to also, keep that front and center as well.
I know that we've talked a bunch about how overwhelming the conference can be, but I do just want to state again, as a first-time attendee, you're probably going to feel really overwhelmed at various points. And maybe you're an introvert, maybe you're an extrovert, maybe you don't feel like you need to recharge your social battery. I personally am the kind of person who needs to recharge my social battery. I work from home, I work remotely. So being around people is very different than it was 5 years ago when I did it all the time. So I just want to encourage people to listen to your own needs. Um, Obviously attend the sessions that you can, but it's okay to take a break. It's okay to give yourself grace in those moments, because it can just be overwhelming, especially if you're in a city that you don't know, a city you've never been to before. While I love the fact that I get to go to Seattle. I've only been there once, and I get to attend this amazing conference. I get to, go out to dinner with my team to see a little bit of the city. But I also know that like I may want to just go back to my hotel at night and not participate in some of the social aspects. And that's why I think like LinkedIn, the app, communicating with people on there. So like using all of the things at your disposal to do the networking, but do it at your own pace, do it the way that works best for you, because there's no one size fits all about participating at a conference. Every participation style is valid. And we're all just happy that you're going to be there. So I just want to put that plug in to take care of your needs as well, because it can be a little overwhelming.
I don't know if we've talked about it, but go to the exhibition hall. Go visit the vendors, and even if you're a small shop and you even because you can go and you can see what's out there. And sometimes even if you can't afford that vendor, you can at least see the sources that they're getting their information from. And some of them you might be able to get for free. It may take you longer to do it that way, but a lot of small shops don't have a huge budget for that. And also, you can also ask them questions about where to find certain things, and they're very helpful. They'll tell you, and they give away freebies too. So, go visit them. And I think I assume we're still going to have drawings if you if you go there and you collect tickets and stamps and whatever, and you put your entry in, they're still going to give away prizes and everything. So, and there'll be a water bottle that we all will get. So don't bring a water bottle. Don't pack one and bring it, because we'll all get one. So just sharing.
I can answer this one. Thanks, Juliana, for sharing. So the question in the chat is, any advice on how best to keep notes over the virtual conference or in person? Having to keep track of learning to report back to my team. As the only staff representative, attending can be a little daunting. I fully concur and agree. So the resources are going to be made available to you on the website. If you toggle, you can see the resources. So you'll see the PowerPoint slides and then any handouts that might be given out in person. And if you're attending virtual, they'll be made available to you. So you will have access to those probably a few days, hopefully, before the event goes live. So you'll be able to see them. So I would encourage you, if you're attending virtually, to download that PowerPoint before you log into the session, and then you can follow along, and you can add notes to it. You can add notes to it as you go along. So you'll have that PowerPoint. You can follow along, and any notes or any tips that are spoken out during the session, you can just add it to that slide. And that's what I would say would be the best advice. And then if you want to go back and kind of collate it into some sense of normalcy, you can create a quick one-pager from everything you've learned if you have the time. But those PowerPoint slides are really, really useful.
And piggybacking off of that, Juliana, if you're like me and you write a note and then you forget what your note meant, presenters are more than happy to have you reach out to them for clarification, to provide extra expertise or to expand on any of the topics that they've talked about in their presentation. So the speakers themselves are also, I'm sure, happy to be a resource to you in that way.
Another topic that I think would be great is this idea of service. And we had mentioned at the counselors, we had a little powwow before everyone came into the breakout room. But it was this topic of service. So I joined APRA essentially my first week on the job. And I got the email saying, do you want to volunteer? Do you have any time to volunteer? And I clicked around, I clicked some buttons, and the DEI committee reached out to me. So the APRA Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Belonging, Justice, and Access committee reached out, and I have had the privilege to serve on that committee for the past year. And then I also reached out to my local APRA Georgia chapter, and they were having elections for their new board membership cycle. And so I reached out to say, what do you need? How can I help? And I plugged into the APRA, my local APRA chapter. And so I now serve as the communications and programming director. And again, it's really informed my work. It's really empowered me to speak about the value of prospect development, and you know how it is that I'm providing a service to my organization. But I now see myself as a bit of a subject matter expert, providing content and providing thought leadership to my local APRA Georgia chapter. I am in no way saying that I am an expert in prospect development, but I'm part of APRA, and I'm actively engaged at APRA. And so I encourage you, if you have the time, to think about volunteering, because APRA could use your voice, and it's been an incredible year for me. I have experienced a lot of growth, both personally and professionally. I've made some amazing friends, and it's an incredible way to plug in.
When you fill out the survey, you might notice you can put like time commitments you're available for. So if you're thinking ahead, like for a whole year, we have micro volunteer opportunities. Like NOMS committee is just like an intense 2 months, but that's it. You know, other ones like DEI, BGA committee is more like a year-long cycle. But there are in between options if you're like want to, you know, test the waters, but not dive all the way in.
And join your local chapter if you can. Really, it's invaluable. And I'm a junkie. I have to admit it. I join lots of APRA chapters, even ones that are not my state, because of the wonderful programming that APRA chapters, local chapters, also offer. So I highly encourage you to investigate and to see, you know, which one you think would be most beneficial to you. And it's not a big monetary commitment, but volunteering will open doors for you in ways you could not imagine. So it's a wonderful organization, the national and the local chapter.
Yeah, I think also it's important that we see this, you know, the work that we do. And it was important to me when I was looking to change from being just a technology manager, that I wanted a career. And really, as APRA opens you up to, this is really a career. And this organization, there are not many fields that you can go into that has such a hands-on, robust association that you can plug into. So it's really for each of us to have this. It's really such a benefit to help to grow your career, to help your organization, and really so many opportunities to learn. And the field is so varied. And so going to a conference really opens up to you all of the different aspects of prospect development. And so, and this is an opportunity, going to a conference, to see all of the amazing work that's going on in all of these different organizations, in higher ed, in secondary education, and in the service organizations. And so it really is, to me, it was such a benefit of having this career that also had, you know, this association of people that I could learn from and really build on. And so we're all lucky to have that. And so it would, my hope is that each of you, you know, would take this opportunity and really just maximize it.
Yeah, I can jump on this bandwagon here. As someone that's relatively new to the prospect development space, and I think a few of you also mentioned that you are as well. I don't think I would have dove in as quickly as I did, like raise my hand to present if I didn't get the encouragement from my supervisor. Um, but I found the culture and the community so welcoming. So if you are, feeling like you're more new to the field, maybe not as experienced, don't let that hold you back, because I do think that as newcomers, we have a unique perspective, and sometimes we can ask the questions that might seem obvious, but maybe it needs to be asked again. Your perspective is important as well. So if you are interested and excited about any of the volunteering opportunities, just dive right in, because it really is such a welcoming community.
And since we were talking before about local chapters, I'll just talk about I moved to Minnesota almost a year ago, and I still work for City of Hope. And joining the APRA Minnesota chapter was actually really great. It was a great way for me to meet people here. My in-laws live here, so it's not like I didn't know anybody, but it's nice to meet the people beyond people I'm related to through marriage. And so, it was great to attend their conference. I'm not plugging the other conference, please. I'm not trying to usurp talking about other conferences, but there are all of these kind of resources available to us through our local chapters as well as APRA International. And so it's really great to just meet folks who are in the same field, who have the same interests. If this is like what you want to do, great networking, because coming from California, I met a lot of people who worked at USC. I met a lot of people who worked at the universities there. I met a lot of people who worked at other hospitals near City of Hope. But meeting people here was really great. And I love Minnesota, so I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to meet folks who are doing the work here. So yeah, there's so many different ways that APRA can benefit us, either on the local level or on the greater national level. So it's really fantastic.
I want to make a plug for the online community. We have our own for the new people, but there are also online communities on that same link for all different topics having to do with prospect development. And if you've got a question, you're saying, I can't find this, or we have Razor's Edge NXT and we're wondering how to do this, you can post a question there and people will respond. And the APRA Exchange, that's right. Thank you, Jen. And you can ask them, what is your best practice? How does your organization do this? And it's a fantastic resource. So I highly encourage you to ask there. Just like there's a newbie place for for first timers, there's a place for the rest of us too. When we're saying, I'm stumped, I don't know how to do this, or how are you doing it? It's a great place.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've been in a meeting with my manager and I ask him a question and he'll say, I don't know, why don't you go on APRA Exchange and make a post and see what other people think? So, it really is, there are a lot of people on there. It's pretty active and it's a great place to get new perspectives, new ideas, and expand it beyond your own organization, because sometimes it can become a vacuum and everyone has the same idea and nobody can come up with new solutions. And so it's really great to just have that exchange of information flowing for those, projects where you're feeling a little stumped.
And I'll definitely put in a plug. Has the name changed from Prospect L to APRA Exchange? Okay, because I've been calling it Prospect L this whole time. But APRA Exchange, I'm definitely a lurker, not a poster. But every now and then I'll get out there and post. And I have found no question too small. Even if it takes about 2 weeks for someone to bite your question and to answer. it gets answered, or you can replug. I've also gotten direct messages from people if I've put a question in that hasn't been responded to. I usually check LinkedIn and someone's messaged me, which is absolutely incredible. So if you have a bit of an imposter syndrome, or if you feel my question's way too small, I don't want to ask it, don't feel that way. The APRA Exchange is incredibly supportive, and there's some pretty dedicated people on there who are constantly replying and responding. So your question will be seen, your question will be answered.
And don't forget, ask your questions at the conference too. Really ask. That's what that's part of the conference, you know. So don't be afraid to ask. Ask the presenters, ask the people working the information booth, the people you meet in the vendor hall, whatever. Ask. There's that you've got this huge body of knowledge right there. And it's worthwhile because we're a friendly bunch. We are. Don't forget your phone charger. Don't forget your computer charger. Anybody got any last minute tips? Anything else to think of?
Yeah, certainly wear your comfortable shoes. You will be getting your steps in. You will most likely be getting about 10,000 steps, especially since we're going to be staying off site and walking into the conference. Conference centers are huge. If you've never attended a conference before, this is what we mean when it's overwhelming. You are going to be exercising. So dress comfortably. You know, put your always have a hair tie at the ready, because around 2 p.m. you're going to get tired. You wear something comfortable, wear something loose fitting, wear something that you can wear for 12 hours in the day, because someone might grab you and say, let's go to a happy hour, let's go out to dinner. And so if you start your conference at 8 a.m., you might be getting back to your hotel around 9:30. And be safe out there. Take an Uber. You know, this seems to be in a good area with well-illuminated streets, but, you know, just make sure you keep your eyes and ears about you. Certainly rideshare, because most of us are going to be staying pretty near to each other or in the same hotel. So that might be a really great way to meet a new person. Just jump into their cab. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good. Bring a raincoat. It's Seattle. And make sure you pack your own snacks. There's going to be snacks and water provided. You will be well fed and you will be well watered. But again, if you need to step out, if you're feeling overwhelmed and need to take a break, just having that one piece of comfort. If you love Snickers, or if you love some sort of snack, have it on hand, because you might just need to pull out your emergency Snickers bar.
I will also say, you know, bring your phone chargers. However, at most conferences I go to, I feel like their swag that they're giving away from a vendor is going to be a phone charger or something like that. So if yours inevitably fails, which mine seems to do when I'm traveling for work, you might just go walk around the exhibition hall and find yourself a phone charger and get to talk to some lovely people as well. So there you go.
Yep, that's true. That's what I did last time in Indy. Mine died. So I will make a plug for Seattle. If you love airplanes, they've got 3 airplane museums. I know that because my husband's an airplane junkie, and when we went to 2 out of 3 of them. So he's airplane junkie. So there's 2 there's 2 close, I think. So, but I encourage you to use Uber and rideshare. That's what we did in Indy. It was great. And, I'm just personally looking forward into getting out of the 90-degree, 89% humidity hell that is Atlanta in the summer. So.
And And rideshare obviously is good, but I've taken the public transportation in Seattle too, and getting from the airport to where the conference is happening is really easy on the public transportation directly from the airport. So if that's your vibe, if that's what you're trying to do, I found that very easy last time I was there. I didn't have like a big suitcase or anything, so we'll see what I do this time. But yeah.
Anybody got any questions for us? Well, I think we're close to time. Jen, is there anything you can think of? John, John is the head of our conference planning committee, and he's on the call. Is there anything you guys would like to share that you think would be useful or anything? And by the way, Ryan, I may be hitting you up about the public transportation. So I'd like to hear more about that myself.
Totally. Yeah. Anyone, if you have questions. I'm not an expert. I've been to Seattle once, and I took the public transportation once, but it was really easy. So let me know.
I'll just encourage, if you're attending virtually, don't think you can't do networking and meet people. So I know vendors would love to chat with you. And anyone else attending virtually would, I'm sure, love to, say hi to you during a coffee break or lunch break. They may also be on different meal break times, so you should have time. So do reach out and meet some people.
Please do, and I would love to meet some of you who are attending virtually also, because yeah, I want you all to feel like you're just as much a part, because you're part of APRA, and that's what's important. And I know many of I'm very lucky and I'm getting to attend, and my shop, a lot of people in my shop, but some of the shops here in Atlanta are not getting to, and they're attending virtually. So there's going to be a lot of people, and I encourage you to reach out to those people in that cohort also, because again, it doesn't just end at the end of the conference. You can network with these people and ask questions afterwards. So please feel free.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you taking the time, and we'll see you either in person or virtually in August.
Can't wait, everybody.